Watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, and today an increase in police pursuits raises concerns in Crawford County.
Oh, we got a foggy start on our hands. We'll get through this. Just going to have to let the sun burn it off, and then we await rain. The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Also, children dealing with one more impact of the pandemic. All that and more coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. A recent increase in police pursuits in Crawford County is raising concern with the sheriff's office. In September, there were 3 pursuits, and all 3 involved stolen vehicles. One of the pursuits ended in Crawford County after reaching speeds of nearly 100 miles an hour. Those pursuits are raising serious safety concerns from the sheriff's office as it tries to protect the public and its deputies.
Something that we have to assess the risk, and is the risk of pursuing this individual, is that something that's preventing with the public safety? Are we we're basically trying to get this individual stopped, keep them from committing other crimes, but you really have to assess the situation.
It's not only the sheriff's office dealing with these concerns, as the pursuits tend to enter surrounding counties and the city of Pittsburgh. And we'll hear more in our next half hour from officials on what seems to be leading the pursuits and what you can do to help prevent them. Last minute court intervention, the final obstacle to the execution of Ernest Johnson. Missouri man convicted of killing 3 convenience store workers during a closing time robbery nearly 28 years ago. The U.S. Supreme Court denied that stay of execution. Johnson was scheduled to die by injection last night at the state prison in Bonne Terre. Johnson's attorney, Jeremy Weiss, says executing Johnson violates the 8th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which prohibits executing intellectually disabled people. Johnson's attorneys asked the Supreme Court on Monday for a stay of execution, writing, "This is not a close case. Mr. Johnson is intellectually disabled." Despite these last-minute efforts, Johnson was executed last night at 6:11 p.m. Police shot and injured a woman during an incident at a Whole Foods store in Kansas. Officers were called to the store in Wichita Monday night for a report of a suspicious person. When officers arrived, they say they found the woman crouched down in front of the store, armed with a handgun. Police say 2 officers fired on her as she tried to go into the store. Authorities say her injuries are serious, but she is expected to survive. No officers nor anyone else in or near the store was injured. Jasper County Health Department says 2 more people have died with COVID-19. The health department says the patients were a woman in her 80s and a man in his 40s. The latest deaths bring the county's total to 219. Carthage Water and Electric Plant is celebrating Public Power Week. Public Power Week is a chance for utility companies to better engage with their communities. The plant in Carthage is hosting several events this week that the public can participate in. They gave tours of the plant on Tuesday.
I think we just hope that we can share our passion of public power and just providing reliable, affordable energy for our community. Our employees live and work here, so it's important to them. It's their friends and family that they're providing for, so it's just a fun week to celebrate with people that we know.
Other events the plant is hosting this week include Glow Golf at the Carthage Golf Course. People that went on the tours Tuesday will get to play in the Glow Golf event for free. Well, Peeps lovers, rejoice. Spooky Peeps are back just in time for Halloween. The pumpkins, monsters, cats, and ghosts couldn't be found in stores last year. That's because the company behind Peeps paused production on all of the non-Easter Peeps because of the pandemic. But now everyone's favorite marshmallow candies have returned, and with new packaging too. The first Halloween packaging update since 2014. And you may notice there's a new Peeps item on the shelves this year. Skulls. Perfect for Day of the Dead celebrations.
Are you a fan?
I've always been a fan of Peeps. I can't eat too many though. Like 1 Peep is good enough for me.
I like marshmallows, but I've never.
There's so much sugar in them.
I know that's probably my controversial morning hot take.
And then when you're done.
Embrace debate when it comes to Peeps.
When
folks.
you're done, your teeth feel gritty.
Ugh. No. What's the shelf life of Peeps?
It depends. Did you keep them in the freezer or the fridge or just on the shelf?
Just on the shelf.
Or you found them hidden under your kid's bed
Right.
after a couple months?
9, 10 years?
Yuck.
Yeah.
No.
You know, they talk about like the last being standing. Like the cockroaches are going to have plenty of peeps.
Ew. Do you hoard Peeps or something, Michael?
Oh, nuclear winter, I'm telling you. It's going to be cockroaches and peeps. That's going to be the extent of it. Happy Wednesday morning, everybody. do you recognize that sight?
That would be one of the guy lines from the tower.
That's me
But
trying.
where is the
That's me
tower?
trying to get a shot of the tower. That's all you can see of it. That's all you can. Thank goodness those lights are working. Good job, engineering department.
Are you looking for spiders?
No, it's just up there from yesterday when we were talking about the spider ballooning. I just thought that was pretty cool that that lone light is the only marker that you have. There we are at 7th and Range Line. Shrouded would probably be an understatement right now. Our visibility numbers steadily dropping on a line that runs from Nevada down to Lamar into CJ. And we're below a mile in CJ and in Carthage. Joplin's visibility sitting just about 0.8 of a mile right now. So as we go back to 7th and Range Line, 60 degrees. It's going to take a while before we can burn this off, because we still got 12 minutes before we even get sunrise. Cloud cover has moved across the state line into southeast Kansas and northeast Oklahoma. Rain still sitting out to the east, has not moved, not one bit. We had some light showers in Berry County earlier, but that was about hours ago, and they gave up, and just everything just hovering right there. But this pattern moves from east to west, so eventually it'll be on us. Our temperatures, high 50s, low 60s, not bad at all when you walk outside, and eventually we end up in the 70s. But more importantly, there you go. See that counterclockwise movement that provides? Well, it's going to throw everything from central Missouri our way. It'll begin later this morning, take us into the afternoon, should be done by 9, 10 o'clock tonight.
Well, up next, we'll take you to the store that sold the winning Powerball tickets. And later, find out which famous rock star did not get recognized in the dive bar. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Hi.
2 doses of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine are 90% effective at preventing hospitalization for at least 6 months. That's true for all variants of the virus, including Delta. The study in The Lancet from Pfizer and Kaiser Permanente also found that while protection against hospitalizations remains strong over time, effectiveness against infection itself declines to 47% after 6 months. Pandemic-related deaths are disproportionately affecting Black, Latino, and Native American men and women, according to research published in the Annals of Internal Medicine. Researchers evaluating nearly 500,000 excess deaths from the first 9 months of the pandemic found double the number of deaths among Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans when compared to white and Asian Americans. Study authors say structural racism and inequitable vaccine distribution play a role. Children around the world are still suffering from serious mental health issues from the COVID-19 pandemic. It's according to a new report from UNICEF. The Child Protection Agency is calling on governments everywhere to do more to help. Tina Kraus reports from London.
Class is back in session for millions of kids around the world, and the United Nations Children's Fund says there's a crucial lesson to be learned from COVID.
To prioritize mental health, because investing in mental health can be life-saving for individuals and for our children.
A new report from UNICEF says disruption to education, recreation, and routines is leaving many young people feeling afraid, angry, and concerned for their future. Psychiatrists report a rise in cases of anxiety, eating disorders, and suicidal thoughts.
47,000 adolescents are dying from suicide every year, and that is a staggering number.
UNICEF says globally, only about 2% of government health budgets go toward mental health. That's less than $1 per person in some of the poorest nations.
We are calling for policies within schools that protect and address mental health issues amongst children and adolescents.
The pandemic prompted France to offer free therapy sessions for children. England set up 24/7 crisis hotlines that have received more than 3 million calls since lockdowns began. UNICEF says it may take years to expose the pandemic's full mental health impact on young people. Tina Kraus, CBS News, London.
Pediatric psychiatrists say they were already short of the resources before the pandemic brought a surge in caseloads. 1 in 10 people around the world suffers from pain after eating meals. A new survey from Belgian and Swedish researchers found 13% of women and 9% of men report frequent abdominal pain after eating. Researchers say it shows how prevalent digestive problems are, and people with frequent attacks also have higher rates of depression and anxiety. Grey Poupon is now selling a white wine, the limited edition La Moutarde Vin. I made up that pronunciation. It's made with grapes from southern France and infused with mustard seeds. Kraft Heinz says it features hints of spice and citrus with floral characteristics. They say it's a perfect pairing with sandwiches to spice up any lunch. It costs $30 for a standard bottle and comes with a jar of Grey Poupon.
That's perfect. I want the new commercials coming out. I want the window being rolled down and people asking, pardon me, sir, do you have any Grey Poupon white wine? Those are kind of iconic commercials.
Those are great.
Pardon me, sir.
Do you have any Grey Poupon? Why not?
Bring it back, folks. Come on, I don't even know who owns the company. Bring it back, Grey Poupon marketing people. Do us a favor. I want it in time for the Super Bowl, too.
It's been too long since we've heard from Grey Poupon.
I know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. This is their opportunity.
This is time.
I'm throwing out marketing ideas for them. We need to capitalize upon this.
I think I mentioned who it was. It was Kraft Heinz.
They got a lot. They got a lot of things in the hopper. Yeah,
There you
a lot
go.
of irons in the fire. I can see.
Yeah.
They're kind of busy.
They infuse it with mustard seeds. Grapes and mustard seeds.
I'd try it. I'm not really a wine drinker, but I'd try it. All right, live look outside of 7th and Rangeline. My goodness. Feels like our visibility is headed in the opposite direction on this Wednesday morning, and it's going to be 44, 49. Pick your poison as far as what road you're going to be on. If it's going to look like that in 7th and Rangeline, it's going to be foggy just about everywhere. 60 degrees is where we stand. It has been relatively comfortable outside. Skywatch Storm Tracker with the rain holding through portions of central Missouri, and our temperatures really from about, I'll say, 57 to 62. So very comfortable, especially considering all the 40s that we had on Monday and Tuesday. We've seen about an 8 to 12 degree increase of that. Here's that mid-level jet stream we were talking about with the counterclockwise motion, and that's why everything right here in central Missouri is going to be able to kind of get thrown back our way, but we're not looking at anything severe. The only really worry in the contiguous 48 is going to be the flooding in the deep south. We are paying attention to this tropical system. It's not a named storm. Pretty disorganized right now, but as this thing comes together, it's actually headed toward the mid-Atlantic, so that will be of interest by the time we get to the weekend. Weather trend for today, temperature is going to be in the low to mid 70s, and here comes the rain. Kicks in this afternoon. See most of it there begin on the eastern part of southwest Missouri, but eventually it gets a little scattered into the central and western portions. And then after that, we clear out. Say you should be done with the rain 9, 10 o'clock. We can get ready for the 80s as we run that string from Thursday all the way to Sunday. Be back with more KOM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Luck is in the seaside air, about 200 miles north of Los Angeles. The California Lottery says Morro Bay is home to the new Powerball jackpot winner. Officials say the haul is the 7th largest in lottery history at almost $700 million. Dave Alley visits the store that sold the winning ticket.
Your Powerball number tonight. Good luck, everyone.
Someone is very lucky in Morro Bay, winning a Powerball jackpot as big as the city's iconic rock.
I think it's wonderful. I think it's very exciting for somebody, you know. Too bad it wasn't me.
The $699.8 million winning ticket was sold here at Albertsons. Customers coming and going all day in disbelief.
I think it's absolutely fantastic, and it's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
The staggering prize is not only the talk of the town in this quiet seaside community, it's also front page, headline, national news.
It makes it known that it's possible for anybody, anywhere, anytime. You know, it's just a shot in the dark. I'm very happy for them, whoever won it.
The biggest question people here are now wondering.
I don't know. I would not be surprised that they're not going to come out right now.
According to the lottery, it may not be known for a while.
It won't be today, it won't be tomorrow, because as I said, we have a really thorough process to investigate all of our winners and make sure they're legitimate.
Something players are crossing their fingers happens to them, hoping lightning strikes twice in Morro Bay.
It could be a life-changing event, to do that. So we'll do it again. Maybe it'll be me the next time.
Still kicking myself for not buying a ticket. Could have been me. Well, Powerball tickets are sold in 45 states. We'll be right back with today's four-state hero. It's time to honor today's four-state hero, Specialist Billy Warren, who served in the U.S. Army from 1967 to 1969. His hometown, Minden Mines, Missouri. To Specialist Billy Warren, we thank you, today's four-state hero. All right, did you hear the one about the rock star who walked into a dive bar and no one recognized him? Ginny Moose has the punchline.
It's still beyond impressive to watch Mick Jagger's moves at age 78. But it's how nobody else made a move to recognize Mick. Mick who? That made this photo of Jagger all alone having a beer at a dive bar start trending. Brian Wilson is the co-owner of the Thirsty Beaver Saloon. He thinks he arrived after Mick left.
Nobody really mentioned that anybody famous had been here, so I don't think they noticed. But this morning my phone did.
That's because Mick Jagger himself posted the photo on Twitter saying, out and about in Charlotte, North Carolina. The Thirsty Beaver is a local legend for surviving developers who had to build around it. When a rock legend showed up and no one seemed to recognize him, the comments flew. Turn around, Mick Jagger's having a beer behind you. To his right were regulars who had tickets to the Stones' Charlotte concert.
Upwards of $400 to go to the show and get as close as they could to Mick. And if they'd only turned around, they'd have been as close as they're ever going to get.
Hey, at least no one was pointing.
Pointing at you.
Even the bartender didn't notice Mick. One local writer, Jeremy Markovich, brightened the photo looking for clues. Computer enhanced the beer, but attempts at determining what Mick was drinking were futile. Markovich joked, people who live in brick bars should not know Stones. The band sings about this kind of place. The co-owner of this honky-tonk wasn't blue. Quenching Jagger's thirst brought him
elation.
As one fan posted, I get a beer, it looks like a guy getting a beer. Mick Jagger gets a beer, it looks like a classic rock album cover. Ginny Moose, CNN, New York.
I'm sure Mick didn't mind at all getting a little peace and quiet. Another half hour of news and weather is just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, it's National 4-H Week, and we're going to celebrate with a Wildcat Wednesday interview. And Kellogg's workers go on strike. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back.
Four States' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:28. Let's take a look at today's top stories. The number of police pursuits has been on the rise in Crawford County, and that's causing concern with law enforcement. KOAM's Chris Warner spoke with the Crawford County Sheriff and the Pittsburgh Police Department about the situation.
They start almost anywhere, sometimes in Joplin, sometimes in Oklahoma, sometimes in Crawford County. They involve crimes that took place almost anywhere, like this pursuit from last week, which began in Crawford County, ended in Barton County, and involved a stolen vehicle out of Joplin.
It puts the public at risk. It puts the officer at risk. Of course, the individual that's fleeing at risk. But it's just not a good situation to be in.
Crawford County Sheriff Danny Smith says that risk could easily be avoided.
If these people would just stop, if they're going to get arrested on their warrant, take care of it like anybody else does. It's not worth any injury or death for these individuals.
As we mentioned, sometimes these pursuits cross state lines. Sometimes they stay in the county but enter city limits, like Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's deputy police chief says that's when communication between agencies becomes vital.
Sometimes it's good to be there to help because we're officers of this city, so we're familiar with the side streets, the alleys, the number blocks, so being able to give a location is more beneficial, but our primary concern, of course, is the safety of the public.
Henderson adds that unlike traffic crashes or other situations, you can't warn the public.
And unfortunately, through social media and other warning avenues, these things happen so quick, and sometimes they're done almost as fast as they start, so we're not able to get a message out there quick enough via social media to warn people of the location of a pursuit.
3 pursuits happened in the county in September, 2 in one day, all involving stolen vehicles. Sheriff Smith says the majority of the pursuits involve stolen vehicles, which means the majority of them can be stopped by you.
It's just one of those things that's very preventable, and we would love for people to, secure their belongings, lock their vehicles up.
In Crawford County, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Sheriff Smith says with winter coming up, he knows drivers will be wanting to preheat their cars, but he says that could be a risk you don't want to take. Last minute court intervention, the final obstacle to the execution of Ernest Johnson, a Missouri man convicted of killing 3 convenience store workers during a closing time robbery nearly 28 years ago. But the U.S. Supreme Court denied that stay of execution. Johnson was scheduled to die by injection last night at the state prison in Bonne Terre. Johnson's attorney, Jeremy Weiss, says executing Johnson violates the 8th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which prohibits executing intellectually disabled people. Johnson's attorneys asked the Supreme Court on Monday for a stay of execution, writing, "This is not a close case. Mr. Johnson is intellectually disabled." Despite these last-minute efforts, Johnson was executed last night at 6:11 p.m. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly creates an independent office to review complaints against Kansas's foster care system and recommend changes in child welfare policies. Her order establishes the new agency and fulfills a longtime goal of advocates for abused and neglected children. The governor's move to create the office by executive order also bypasses the Republican-controlled legislature. It deadlocked on the issue earlier this year after some lawmakers pushed to put the new office under the state attorney general. Some lawmakers saw that as a partisan move because Attorney General Derek Schmidt is widely expected to be the GOP nominee, challenging Kelly next year. An Oklahoma judge temporarily blocks 2 new anti-abortion laws from taking effect next month, including a measure that would prevent abortions after about 6 weeks of pregnancy. But the judge ruled that she would allow 3 other ones to take effect in November. That one abortion rights advocate says will be catastrophic to the ability of women to access abortion services. Those 3 would create new restrictions on medication-induced abortions and require all doctors who perform abortions to be board certified in obstetrics and gynecology. An attorney for the New York-based Center for Reproductive Rights, which challenged the new laws, says the center plans to appeal the ruling to the Oklahoma Supreme Court. More rules on Missouri abortion clinics are set to take effect. Additional regulations on fire drills, pelvic exams, and record keeping at abortion clinics kick in October 13th. The regulations also require the health department to refer rule violations to state Medicaid funding auditors. Missouri Republicans have been trying for years to block all Medicaid funding for Planned Parenthood, which already is banned from using public funds for most abortions. State senators last week recommended the health department and Medicaid auditors share inspection information, similar to the new agency rules. Yesterday, Pittsburgh State students held a rally to raise awareness of sexual assault. The National Against Our Will rally took place in the University Oval. Organizers say the goal was not only to raise awareness, but also to give survivors a place to share their story and access to resources.
I do think it needs to be talked about more, but I do think that we do a good amount. We do have reporting online anonymously for those who don't feel comfortable. So I do think we do a good amount or the PSU does a good amount for us. But like I said, there's always more that can be done.
Pitt State campus police chief says there were 2 sexual assaults reported on campus last year and none so far this year. An endangered turtle enjoyed a grooming session at Japan's Ogasawara Marine Center on September 27th. Okay, this video was shared by social media, captured the green turtle being gently brushed by handlers at the center. I think he's ticklish. What do you think, Michael? Green turtles are listed as endangered by the International Union for Conservation of Nature.
I had a turtle on the back porch hanging out with me a couple days ago.
Ah.
I did not brush him, and now I feel extremely bad.
Okay, so most turtles, like if you were to pick them up and do something like that, they would like hide in their shell.
Right. Yeah, he didn't understand why I was intruding his space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This turtle is just like, oh my goodness, keep on rubbing it.
I was like, you're
just
welcome in the club anytime you want, turtle.
I wish they could, like you could hear them giggle. Do turtles giggle?
I don't think so.
Could turtles giggle?
We need smart people to tell us that. I don't know.
Like in a different
I'm
sound
definitely
wave,
not.
maybe we can't hear.
I'm not your turtle expert. This ain't good.
No, goodness gracious.
How about this?
It seems to be getting worse as the morning progresses.
It is, and we're actually 17 minutes past sunrise. You know, what sun? My goodness. Luckily we can see the satellite arrays from there. Yeah, that's outside of Television City. Here we are at 7th and Rangeline, and like Tanya said, it has not let up one bit. Our visibility numbers, especially in southwest Missouri. Look at that. We're down to 0.3 of a mile in Carl Junction, 0.4 of a mile in Carthage. So that's our main concern this morning. And watch out for kids at the bus stop. Please, 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 please. Now, eventually, we'll get up into the mid-70s here later on today, but let's talk about this rain that's been hanging off to the east, because by the time we get into the afternoon, it gets slung our way, counterclockwise motion out of central Missouri, lasts until about 9-10 p.m., not looking at anything severe by any means. Accumulation numbers rather limited, probably 1/4 to 1/2 inch, and then we get sunshine on Thursday. Hopefully, we don't have any fog concerns with that Thursday morning, and then lift us up at close to 90 degrees by the weekend. Be back with a Wildcat Wednesday next. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, and we find ourselves on a Wildcat Wednesday. Fortunate enough to be joined by Will Mortz. Will, thank you so much, number one, for your time, and especially all the hard work that you put in with all of our kids in 4-H. And it's National 4-H Week, but before we get there, the last time we caught up with you, you were on your way out to Hutch for the Kansas State Fair. Kind of give us a recap of how things went for you and all your marvelous kids.
It went really great. So we had a lot of success within our program in our district. We had, for example, this is a photography exhibit by one of our 4-Hers named Gavin, and he received a blue ribbon. So there are literally hundreds of photos that get submitted every year to the Kansas State Fair from 4-H. When I was dropping them off to be judged, there were piles of photos on a table. So to do well and have that success is a big deal, because they're going against the best of the best across the state, and we had several kids do very well. So.
I love the fact that you showed us a picture as well, because 4-H has matured and grown into an organization that is more than just the livestock showing. While that's still a very important part, it now encompasses so many aspects of life. Now, yeah. after you come off of the state fair, then you prepare for National 4-H Week, which, yes, while a celebration in and of itself, actually kind of closes down one year and reopens another. So how does that work with our 4-Hers?
Yeah, so, the state fair is kind of the last hurrah for our program. After that, all the clubs, the volunteers, and the kids are putting an end to their 4-H year. They're completing record books. They're completing officer books. So every 4-H club has a list of officers. So, for example, this is a secretary's notebook that was kept all year long by a 4-H member. In here, you will find minutes. You will find treasurer's reports, log sheets from their attendees from the meeting. So these are kept by 4-H members throughout the entire year, and then they're turned in and judged and compared against each other's for kind of, who did the best throughout the year, and they get feedback on how they can improve.
And we talk about the roles and responsibilities and how 4-H helps somebody grow in a leadership role and become more responsible. How do those record-keeping books translate to success later in life as they become young adults?
Yeah, so it's a great example. So every adult has to keep records. No matter if you have animals, if you live in town, you've got to pay your bills. So you've got to keep records. You got to know finances. So 4-H prepares kids for that. They learn how to do it, how to stay organized and be responsible, all within a forgiving environment where they need a learning curve of somehow we're able to accommodate for that.
Now, as we close down this year, they turn in those record books and whatnot, and we celebrate National 4-H Week. What does it mean to transition into a new year for 4-H?
So October 1 was the beginning of the new year, and like you said, this is National 4-H Week. So anybody 7 to 18 can enroll in 4-H. It's open to all. And then this week in particular, since it is National 4-H Week, clubs are going around. They're setting up displays and exhibits throughout town. They're doing lots of community service projects throughout the town, just to spread the word and get the good name about 4-H, that things we're doing.
And I always like to cap it off because you've brought so much attention to the responsibility and the great success that your 4-Hers have. So if I'm a mom or a dad or I'm a kid watching this and I want to get involved, where do I start?
You just you can call one of our offices. We're the Wildcat Extension District here in the southeast corner of the state. So just call one of those, go to our website, and you can sign up from there.
Now think about this, folks. You get your little one started in 4-H, and pretty soon Will's going to be showing off his or her wares with a blue ribbon on it. Will Morris of the Wildcat Extension District. Will, thank you so much for your time. I'm glad to hear Hutch was a success, and a happy National 4-H Week to you and your entire organization.
Thank you.
That's a Wildcat Wednesday. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
Outside the plant in Battle Creek, union workers in the cereal city are calling for equal pay and benefits. Imora Austin joins us from Battle Creek to tell us how this strike could impact the cereal aisle.
Cars drive by honking in support of employees outside the Battle Creek Kellogg's plant. Union workers are calling for the company to get rid of its two-tier pay system.
The people going in and are making less money than the people that are standing next to them are mad.
Paul Walling is the union vice president. He says they are also upset with the company's decision to cut 212 jobs at its Battle Creek plant over the next 2 years.
This last announcement was half of us. We're going to be down to about 150 people. So I don't know, we can't sustain what we have with 150 people. So the next order of business is to close the Battle Creek plant.
In a written statement, Kellogg says their employees receive industry-leading pay and benefits, and they are disappointed by the union's decision to strike. The company says they are implementing contingency plans to mitigate supply disruptions, including internal and third-party resources.
With more good-paying jobs leaving, it's not good for the city of Battle Creek either.
Walling says the company is already short on orders, and at the end of the day, it's the consumers who suffer from the strike.
Our core brands of cereals that we make at Kellogg Company aren't getting made, and they're not going to be on the shelf.
We'll be right back with more after this, but first let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
All right, we got a prequel for fans who have been waiting for a certain TV show, and a special honor for the great Michael J. Fox. Anthony Purra, with those stories and more, he has our eye on entertainment.
Michael J. Fox is being recognized for his charity work in Parkinson's research. The award-winning actor will receive an honorary AARP Purpose Prize Award in December. Fox was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 1991 and started a foundation in 2000 that has funded more than $1 billion in global research programs. Tonight, CBS heads back to the Strip with the premiere of CSI Vegas.
Nice to meet you. I'm Maxine Roby.
The series features a brilliant new team of investigators and brings back some fan favorites.
I never thought I'd be back, but it feels really great. There's a rush and an energy that has been absent in my life since CSI's been out of my life.
CSI Vegas debuts tonight on CBS and is available to stream live and on demand on Paramount+.
Who do you think I am?
The Crawley family is headed back to theaters in Downton Abbey: A New Era. The sequel follows the 2019 film based on the British TV series and stars Joanne Froggatt as a lady's maid.
I think it will be hopefully a nice warm hug for everyone to get back and sit in the cinema and watch the characters again.
The film is due to hit theaters in March of 2022.
Gods.
And if you've been missing Game of Thrones, here comes your fix. A first look at the upcoming prequel, House of the Dragon.
And blood.
The series premieres on HBO next year with a story set 2 centuries before the fall of the throne. That's your Eye on Entertainment. Anthony Pura, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Folks, we are stuck. I mean, just stuck. This fog has not budged one bit. Need everybody very, very careful out there. Remember, kids getting to the bus stop and whatnot as well. I know most of them are already on the bus, but you know what I'm saying. Just be very, very careful out there. We hardly ever see 7th and Range Line shrouded that thick with the fog, and the visibility numbers, they haven't moved. We're still below a mile in Carl Junction and Carthage, almost right at a mile in Lamar and Neosho. 60 degrees, it's just humid when you walk outside, obviously, with the fog that we're having. All right, starting to see just a smattering of green pop up here in our eastern part of southwest Missouri, making its way as far west as Barton County. Everything coming out of central Missouri with the jet stream in the counterclockwise fashion. Temperatures not too bad, in between about 57 and 63 degrees, and a nice bump up from what we had on Monday and Tuesday. We were able to avoid the 40s. We're looking at double-digit increases pretty much abound. Give you an idea of what we were talking about with the jet stream and that counterclockwise motion. So what it does, it kind of isolates this one for the deep south. They're going to have potential flooding concerns. But as it works its way up the Tennessee River Valley, it encapsulates this one right here in central Missouri and kicks it back our way. So everything moves from east to west for us. Nice thing is we don't have to worry about anything severe. What you do see there down for portions of Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, up through Kentucky as well. That's going to be some flooding that they're going to have to pay attention to. Let's take a quick look on the tropics. It's not a named storm as of yet, and it may not become one because it's very disorganized, and it really hasn't come together to form a good eye or a central portion. But this tropical system is going to make its way toward the mid-Atlantic this weekend, so that's why I bring it up of note. Our temperatures, even after the fog goes away, we're still going to have mostly cloudy skies, going to be in the low to mid 70s. And beginning later this morning, here comes that rain as it turns over on itself, carries us through the afternoon. Mostly scattered, the majority of the precipitation staying on the eastern part of southwest Missouri. Not looking at just limited thunder and lightning, very limited on that. And no flooding concerns, probably about 1/4 to 1/2 inch, see pockets that'll get up to about 3/4 of an inch of rain. Get some sunshine tomorrow, work our way back into the 80s, and then we're going to stay in the 80s all the way into the weekend. We'll be back and wrap up this edition of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. The Senate is scheduled to vote on legislation to suspend the debt ceiling until December of 2022. The measure passed the House last week, but Republicans in the Senate have already signaled their intent to block it. The Treasury Department says the federal government will run out of money in less than 2 weeks. Yesterday, a Senate subcommittee heard testimony from a former Facebook employee turned whistleblower. Francis Haugen said the social media giant knows its products can be harmful, but won't make changes unless they're forced to. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg responded last night saying the company does not prioritize profits over the well-being of its users. Johnson & Johnson is the latest drug maker to seek authorization to distribute a booster dose of its COVID-19 vaccine. To date, over 15 million Americans have received the company's single-shot vaccine. The FDA's Vaccine Advisory Committee will discuss the request at a meeting on October 15th. Let's check in with Mike with a final look at your forecast.
Rain later this morning after, if we can get rid of the fog. And that'll take us into the afternoon. Not looking at anything substantial. Done with it by, say, 9, 10 o'clock tonight for the eastern edge of southwest Missouri. And then get ready for our mid-October heat wave as we're going to finish off the weekend and consistently riding the 80s.
Well, kangaroo Joey was caught on camera taking its first hops at the Australian Reptile Park on September 17th. Oh, look at that little guy. Video shared on social media captured the baby kangaroo jumping on his own, seconds after leaving his mother's pouch. Wow. After the impressive performance, keepers named him Jumping Jack. How fitting.
Pretty cool to capture that on video right there. Thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. Be back with more news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.